Good evening, I'm Samriddhi Kesi and these are the headlines of the hour. Number of migrant workers opting for foreign employment increased by 14% in a year. Government's claim of employment creation limited to speeches. Number of tourists around Bhaktapur surge on the occasion of New Year's Eve. Increase in hotel occupancy elates the owners. More than 50 people dead and dozens wounded as Russian ballistic missile strike on the northeastern city of Sumy. And Royal Challengers Bengaluru cruised to a 9-wicket victory over Rajasthan Royals in the ongoing Indian Premier League. Kohli and Sal's half-century powers team to the win. The lack of creation of domestic job opportunities have been leading to an increase in remittances entering Nepal. According to the Department of Foreign Employment, 808,567 obtained labour permits in the Nepalese year of 2081. In 2080, this number was 708,220. The Department of Foreign Employment has stated that most workers have gone to countries like Saudi Arabia, Kuwait and Qatar. The number of young people going to European countries such as Malta, Croatia, Poland and Portugal has also increased significantly.
भने पछिल्लो समयमा जसरी चाहिँ हाम्रो चाहिँ खाडी जीसीसी कन्ट्रीहरु मलेसियामा चाहिँ अत्याधिक रूपमा चाहिँ अघिल्ला वर्षहरुमा चाहिँ त्यता थियो भने र मलेसियामा गत वर्षदेखि केही रूपमा चाहिँ बन्द भएको अहिले चाहिँ सुरु गर्न लागिरहेको अवस्था छ। यसले गर्दाखेरि हाम्रो चाहिँ श्रम बजार हाम्रो चाहिँ लेबर डेस्टिनेसन मुलुक चाहिँ जीसीसी कन्ट्रीहरु र मलेसियामा बढी केन्द्रित थियो भने अहिले पछिल्ला दिनहरुमा युरोपियन कन्ट्रीहरु रोमानिया, माल्टा, पोर्चुगल लगायतका चाहिँ निकायहरुमा उसमा पनि अलि राम्रो अलि बढिरहेको अवस्था देखिन्छ।
The number of people going abroad has increased even though employment in Malaysia has been closed for almost a year. In the first 8 months of the current fiscal year, 1,51,770,000,000 rupees in remittances have entered the country. The government provides labor permits for 110 countries. However, according to the department's data, young people are going to more than 170 countries through personal channels. This year, about 90,000 women went abroad for foreign employment, while more than 719,000 men went abroad. Economist Diliraj Khanal says that the number of people leaving the country has increased due to the lack of sufficient job opportunities. Although the government has announced a decade of domestic labor employment and agricultural investment, it has not taken any initiative to retain young people. It is time for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. But before today's question, let's take a look at the results from yesterday's poll. Yesterday, we had asked you, what do you think of Parliamentary Subcommittee agreeing to let concerned schools hold secondary education examination SEE? 55% voted for option A, unstable education sector, 23% voted for option B, natural process, and 22% voted for option C, an attempt at improvement. Here's today's question. What do you think of the country's heavy reliance on remittances? Option A, utilize the remittance. Option B, create domestic employment. And option C, make it systematic and transparent. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. Domestic tourists visiting Bhaktapur to observe historical and cultural heritage sites have increased on the eve of the New Year, as the famous Biska Jatra is also coinciding with the New Year. Tourist destinations including Bhaktapur Darbar Square are packed with domestic tourists. Likewise, Chitwan, which receives the most tourists after Kathmandu and Pokhara, is also full of domestic tourists celebrating the New Year. A large number of domestic tourists have arrived in Sauraha, Narayangarh, Bharatpur and the Devghat areas of the Chitwan National Park region. Likewise, other tourist destinations across the country are also experiencing a rush of domestic tourists for the New Year's visits. Hotel occupancy has increased, making businesses happy. And in this context, in our Public Voice segment today, we have asked in several provinces, how do you remember the year 2081? Let's take a look at what they had to say.
राजनीतिक दलको गतिविधिबाट नागरिकमा चरम असन्तुष्टि पैदा भएको वर्षको रूपमा लिएको छु।
मेरो लागि 2081 साल चाहिँ व्यक्तिगत र सामाजिक रूपमा एकदमै राम्रो रहेको छ।
राजनीतिक उथलपुथलको वर्ष नै भन्छु म चाहिँ।
81 साल चाहिँ एकदम राम्रो भएर गयो हैन, जे होस् अब प्रगति उन्नति धेरै भएर गयो। अब 82 साल पनि यस्तै होस् भन्न चाहन्छु।
प्राकृतिक विपत्तिको हिसाबले जुन सिमलतालमा भएको दुर्घटना र नागढुङ्गामा भएको जुन एउटा प्राकृतिक विपत्ति चाहिँ अत्यन्त दुःखद रूपमा चाहिँ यो वर्ष रहेको अनुभूति रह्यो।
आफ्नै व्यक्तिगत स्वास्थ्यसँगै मेरो परिवार, घर परिवार, आफन्तहरू सबै स्वस्थ नै रहनुभयो। कसैलाई गुमाउनु पर्ने, केही छुटाउनु पर्ने पीडा चाहिँ बोध भएन।
2081 लाई हेर्दाखेरि अत्यन्तै सुन्दर र प्रभावकारी रूपमा बितेको मैले अनुभूत गरेको छु।
मेरो 81 साल एकदम राम्रो भयो।
हाम्रो परिवारदेखि लिएर मेरो व्यक्तिगत जीवनमा 2021 साल चाहिँ असाध्यै राम्रो भएको छ।
समग्रमा राम्रो बितेको मलाई महसुस भएको छ।
Nepal's two major political parties, the Nepali Congress and CPN-UML, joined hands to form a coalition government for political stability and good governance. However, the general public have not experienced notable improvement in the year 2081 BS that is about to end. The year did lay some new groundwork which could prove a foundation to ensure the coming year 2082 BS becomes a year of hope and progress, helping to dispel growing public frustration.
In a year like 2081, which was riddled with political disputes, one of the few positives was the formation of a strong government by the country's two largest parties. A rare occurrence in parliamentary democracies, this coalition formed governments from the federal level to the provinces. Although the alliance raised some questions, the ruling parties aim to convey that political stability is essential to overcoming public frustration. Since the government was formed in the middle of the Nepalese month of Shravan, the ruling alliance has worked to replace public despair with a narrative of renewed hope. Their argument, with such a strong majority, nothing can obstruct the government from acting on its promises, from delivering services to curbing corruption and ensuring effective governance. But in the coming year, it will not be enough to just talk. The government must deliver tangible results that convince disillusioned citizens that there is still a reason to hope.
गर्ने विधि समाजका बहुआयामिक समस्याहरू छन्, त्यो शिक्षामा छ, भ्रष्टाचार छ, विभेद छ भने सबै कुरालाई हल गर्ने विधि के हुन्छ भन्ने कुरा चाहिँ ठोस ढंगले पार्टीहरूले योजना लिएर आउने भयो भने मात्रै विश्वास अलि बढ्दै जाने सम्भावना हुन्छ।
Despite opposition resistance, the government has already enacted 5 ordinances aimed at improving public service delivery and investment. In the year 2081, a new law was introduced via ordinance to address the cooperative sector crisis, opening the path to justice for thousands of victims. What remains for 2082 is to take action, which is punish the wrongdoers and return depositors' savings. Another ordinance introduced new laws in the field of information technology aimed at securing a future for the youth. These ordinances must now prove their worth through action. One key step is increasing public investment in 2082 to address public discontent visibly present on the streets. The current government also has a unique opportunity to enact laws critical to implementing federalism. With a favorable equation in the parliament, laws like School Education Bill, Civil Service Act and Police Act can be finalized quickly, enabling provinces to deliver services more efficiently within the year.
Garments companies यस्ता कुराहरु जुन अपर्च्युनिटी हो यो म भन्छु यो अपर्च्युनिटीमा हाम्रा मन्त्रीहरु अर्थमन्त्री वाणिज्य मन्त्रीहरु विभिन्न स्टेशनमा गएर ती ठुलठुलो कम्पनीहरुसँग कुरा गरेर तिनलाई हामीले यहाँ फेसिलिटेट गरेर गर्यौं भने एउटा ठुलो अपर्च्युनिटी हुन सक्छ हैन त्यसको लागि हामीले अमेरिकनहरुसँग कुरा गरेर यहाँ कुरा गरेर त्यतातिर हामीले मतलब मैले बिजनेस लाइक इन्भाइरोमेन्ट बनाउन सक्नु पर्यो के
भ्रष्टाचार नियन्त्रणमा चाहिँ उहाँले एकदमै पहल गर्नुपर्छ र यसै सुशासनलाई व्यवस्थित रूपमा लाने हो। अब डेलिभरका कुराहरू छन् यसलाई चाहिँ समयमै उहाँहरूले साच्चै जस्तो उहाँले जो कुराहरू चाहिँ यो गर्छौं भनेर त्यो जुन कुराहरू मागहरू गर्छ त्यसलाई समयमै साच्चै उहाँहरूले त्यो प्रोवाइड गर्न सक्ने हो भने मलाई जहाँसम्म लाग्छ धेरै कुराहरू चेन्ज हुन्छ।
Another priority for the new year is reviving the economy. If Nepal can boost exports and create an environment conducive to opening new industries, the struggling economy could rebound. Many of the laws necessary to attract investment have already been passed. It's now a matter of effectively communicating them to investors, something that can certainly be achieved in the new year. A major achievement of 2081 was the passage of a transitional justice law that had been pending for 18 years. The fact that it was enacted with bipartisan support is especially significant. The next step is to form the Truth and Reconciliation Commission and the Commission on the Investigation of Enforced Disappeared Persons, ensuring victims begin to receive justice within the year. In the year 2081, political inaction created room for anti-system forces to grow. As monarchist groups raised questions about the federal democratic system, the only way forward in 2082 is for the government to meet public expectations and restore hope. When forming the government, constitutional amendment was a major agenda for both Nepali Congress and CPN-UML. However, progress on this front remains stalled. In 2082, parties must identify constitutional flaws and implementation issues and move toward consensus through wide-ranging discussion with opposition parties. If the government and political parties build on the groundwork laid in 2081, there is still a chance to restore public trust and reignite hope in the new year.
Welcome back. Hydroelectricity investors have urged Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli to pave the way for the issuance of shares that has been halted for 22 months. The Independent Power Producers Association of Nepal, IPAN, today requested Prime Minister Oli through a letter to create an environment for share issuance. The Nepal Securities Board has not granted permission for the issuance of initial public offerings, IPOs and right shares of 53 hydropower companies for 20 months, citing the directive of the Public Accounts Committee. A meeting of the Accounts Committee on December 27, 2024 directed that real net worth must be greater than 90 for IPO issuance. The issuance of shares worth 20 billion rupees of 42 energy companies that applied for IPO issuance has been halted, while the permission for right shares worth 4.5 billion rupees of 11 companies has also been stopped.
अड्केर बसेका छन् एउटा कुरा त्यो भयो र अर्को निर्देशन उसले के दियो भने 33% शेयर चाहिँ लोन नतिरुन्जेलसम्म बेच्न नपाउने भनेर एउटा निर्देशन दियो र संस्थापक शेयर आधारभूत शेयर धनी लेख्थे आधारभूत शेयर चाहिँ बेच्न नपाउने भनेर भने अब त्यसमा पनि क्लियर भएन.
IPAN states that the inability to issue IPOs and right shares of hydropower projects since July-August 2023 has created a serious crisis in the construction of the projects themselves. The Securities Board, on the other hand, has stated that the files, which have been held up to 2 years, require new documents, which is a reason for the delay.
अहिले बोर्डले नियमित रूपमा क्रमिक रूपमा ती कम्पनीहरूको फाइलहरू रिभ्यू गर्ने र सम्बन्धित कम्पनीहरूलाई तत्कालीन अवस्थामा पेश गरेका विवरण तथा कागजातहरूलाई अपडेट गर्नका लागि हामीले उहाँहरूलाई पत्राचार पनि गरिसकेका छौं. जति पनि कम्पनीहरूले अपडेटेड डकुमेन्टहरू पेश गरिसक्नु भएको छ, यहाँबाट रिभ्यू गरेर माग भएका बमोजिमका चाहिँ डकुमेन्टहरू पेश गरिसक्नु भएको छ, त्यस्ता कम्पनीहरूलाई हामीले नियमित रूपमा एकदमै कति पनि नरोकिकिन धितोपत्र दर्ता तथा निष्कासन प्रक्रियाका लागि अनुमति दिने काम गरिरहेका छौं. यो रोकिएको भन्ने चाहिँ होइन, काम भइरहेकै छ.
Previously, IPAN had met with the Accounts Committee as well as ministers, secretaries, officials of the security boards and other authorities to request the creation of an environment for share issuance. That is all for the moment. Up next is News in Nepali. Thank you for watching. Good night.